Assalamu alaikum. This is Sharup Mujumdar welcoming you all to the English news from Btv Chattogram. Let's begin with the headlines. Bangladesh media enjoys unprecedented freedom despite misinformation and disinformation flood social media, says Chief Advisor Professor Muhammad Yunus. Train movement resumes across the country, including Chattogram, as railway running staffs call off work extension. Bangladesh to address unfair agreements signed during AWAMILEAGUE regime in Director General level border conference with India, says Home Advisor. "10,000 volunteers to work along with 7,000 law enforcers in Istema starting on Friday. More than 376,000 Palestinians returned to northern Gaza unrecognizable after months of Israeli bombing. And Chittagong Kings beat Rangpur Riders by 5 wickets in Bangladesh Premier League at Mirpur National Cricket Stadium. Viewers, those were the headlines. Now moving on to the details. The Open Society Foundation's leadership today met Chief Advisor Professor Muhammad Yunus to discuss Bangladesh's efforts to rebuild the economy, trace siphoned off assets, combat misinformation and carry out vital economic reforms. A delegation of the Open Society Foundation headed by the chairman Alex Soros and President Binayfa Noroji called on Chief Advisor Professor Muhammad Yunus expressed support for reforms undertaken by the interim government. During the meeting, Alex Soros commended Professor Yunus for leading the country at a critical time in its history and shepherding reforms needed to fix the country's institutions and rebuild the economy. He said the student-led mass uprising has given great opportunities to set a new course for the country. They discussed issues ranging from the July uprising, transitional justice for the victims of struggle, economic reforms, media recovery of stolen assets, the new cybersecurity laws and ways of improving them to the Rohingya crisis. Chief Advisor Professor Muhammad Yunus thanked the Open Foundations for its support. He urged the foundation to do more for spreading the news of the unprecedented student-led uprising, which has brought down a brutal dictatorship. The Chief Advisor asked the foundation to help the country in asset tracing in order to bring back some $234 billion siphoned off during Sheikh Hasina's 16-year-long rule. Professor Yunus said the interim government inherited a devastated and a war-torn economy, and he sought the foundation's support in the rebuilding process. He said Bangladesh media now enjoys unprecedented freedom, but misinformation and disinformation have flooded the social media. The foundation also expressed its desire to help Bangladesh's crucial LDC graduation, a move welcomed by the Chief Advisor. The movement of trains resumed today across the country as running staff of the railway called off their work abstention last night. Every train left Kamalapur rail station in the morning 1 or 2 hours late due to low number of passengers. Passengers expressed satisfaction over resumption of train services. Kamalapur station manager said the train schedule will be restored soon. As many as 40 pairs of intercity trains moved from Kamalapur rail station today. Train services have resumed this morning after the strike of the railway running staff and workers union was lifted. All trains left Chattogram railway station for their designated destinations in the morning. Trains headed to Chattogram are returning to their destinations despite some schedule disruptions in the morning. Passengers have also expressed satisfaction with the resumption of train services. The first train in the eastern zone of the railway left from Chatpur. The Dhaka-bound Mahanagar Express left Chattogram station on time at 12:30 p.m. After a slight delay in the regular train service from Chattogram in the morning, train services resumed as per the schedule from noon. The official in charge at Chattogram station said passengers will receive all railway services as per the schedule. Train services across the country were suspended on Tuesday due to an indefinite strike by the railway running staff since midnight on Monday, causing sufferings to the train passengers across the country. Home Affairs Advisor Lieutenant General retired Mohammad Jahangir Alam Chaudhary said Bangladesh will engage in talks with India to address unfair agreements signed during the previous AWAMILEAGUE regime. He made the remarks while speaking to the media on the upcoming Director General level border conference between the Border Guard Bangladesh and India's Border Security Force at the ministry in the capital today. He said permission is required from both sides to erect any structure within 150 yards of the border. There is no provision allowing unilateral actions, and approval from both countries is necessary to build a mosque or temple. This will be prioritized to ensure that India seeks permission before carrying out any activity, he added. Jahangir Alam said key issues including the prevention of border killings by the BSF or Indian miscreants, firing on unarmed Bangladeshi citizens and injuries along the border will be raised at the conference. Besides, the talks will cover equitable water sharing of transboundary rivers, withdrawal of water, implementation of the water agreement, and the reopening of the Rahimpur Canal mouth.
ভারতীয় দুষ্কারী কর্তৃক সীমান্ত হত্যা ও সীমান্ত নিরস্ত বাংলাদেশি নাগরিকদের উপর গুলি চালান আহত বন্ধ করা। জানেন যে ভারতীয় নাগরিকরা বিএসএফ এবং অন্যান্য যারা যে আমাদের যে সীমান্তে যে হত্যা করছে ওটা যেভাবে হোক তাদের বন্ধ করতে হবে। এটা কোনোভাবেই গ্রহণযোগ্য না, এটা ইন্টারন্যাশনালিও এবং যে কোনো জায়গায় হোক না। এটা অনেক সময় দেখা গেছে যে বিএসএফ কর্তৃক এবং তাদের যে দুষ্কৃতিকারীরা আমাদের বাংলাদেশি নাগরিক ধরে নিয়ে যায় বর্ডার থেকে কৃষিকাজ করার সময়। এটা যেভাবে হোক এটা যেন তারা না করে, এই জন্য তাকে বলা। তারপর ভারতীয় নাগরিকদের সীমানা লঙ্ঘন করে, অনেক সময় তারা সীমানা লঙ্ঘন করে অবৈধভাবে পারাপারের চেষ্টা করে, এই জিনিসটাগুলি যেন না হয় এই ব্যাপারে আলোচনা হবে। তারপরে যে বাংলাদেশের যে নদী আছে এই নদীগুলি পানিটা যেন সুষম বন্টন হয়, এটার ব্যাপারে আলোচনা হবে। আর আরেকটা হলো সবচেয়ে বেশি এই ভারতীয় এই যে গণমাধ্যম যে মিথ্যা সংবাদ পরিবেশন করে এবং এটা কিভাবে তারা বন্ধ করতে পারে এই ব্যাপারেও আলোচনা হবে। যেহেতু আপনারা এই ব্যাপারে আপনারা নিজেরও খুব সোচ্চার এবং আমাদের জনগণও সোচ্চার এবং এটা তাদের বলে দেওয়া যে এই জিনিসটা তারা কিভাবে বন্ধ করতে পারে।
Inspector General of Police Baharul Alam said security measures for this year's Bisha Ijtima have been significantly strengthened to maintain the law and order. He told the reporters after inspecting the Ijtima grounds at Tongi this morning. Higher officials of Gazipur Metropolitan Police and leaders of the Ijtima Organizing Committee were present at that time. The police chief said around 7,000 members of the law enforcement agencies will be deployed in this year's Ijtima. 10,000 volunteers will also work, he added. Now international news. The United Nations Humanitarian Agency OCHA said more than 376,000 Palestinians have returned to decimated northern Gaza till Monday. News agencies said entire areas of North Gaza are unrecognizable to returning residents after months of Israeli bombing. UNRWA chief Philippe Lazzarini said an Israeli ban of the UN's Agency for Palestinian Refugees due to start on Thursday will affect millions of Palestinians and place Gaza's ceasefire in jeopardy. Meanwhile, Lebanese caretaker Prime Minister Najib Mikati said Israeli attacks in southern Lebanon that injured at least 24 people are a blatant breach of the ceasefire agreement. A stampede at the world's largest religious gathering in India killed at least 15 people, with many more injured. Deadly crowd crushes are a notorious feature of Indian religious festivals, and the Kumbh Mela, with its unfathomable throngs of devotees, already had a grim track record before the latest incident in the early hours of the morning. The 6-week festival is the single biggest milestone on the Hindu religious calendar, and millions of people had been expected to participate in a sacred day of ritual bathing on Wednesday. A doctor from the festival site said at least 15 people have died for now. Others are being treated. Rescue teams were seen working with pilgrims to carry victims away from the site of the accident over ground strewn with clothes, shoes and other discarded belongings. Police officers moved through the area carrying stretchers bearing the bodies of victims draped with thick blankets. Wednesday marks one of the holiest days in the festival, when saffron-clad holy men were due to lead millions into a procession of sin-cleansing ritual bathing at the confluence of the Ganges and Yamuna River.